Alrighty, got a G League match here between DarthSensitive and, oh boy, I have no idea how to pronounce this one. Hezeheze? Hezeheze? I really don't know. Alright, let's look at the kingdom. So we've got draw, Denison can draw, Catacombs can draw. You can temporarily draw with Madman, which you gain off of Hermit. That's a really good draw, but it's quite fleeting because it goes back to the pile. Plus action, we've got Fortress. We also have Royal Carriage. Trashing, Amulet can trash anything. Hermit can trash Estates. And plus buy, we got Bridge Troll, which is really nice because it reduces the cost of everything and also gives you plus buy. So you get a bunch of those in play, and all of a sudden you can buy all the provinces in one go. We also have plus buy off of Wine Merchant. You can also gain 2 cards at once using Ball. So just taking a look at this kingdom, I think the place this is likely going is a big Bridge Troll mega turn. You want to get trashed down with Hermit and Amulet, draw a bit with Fortress, Catacombs, Denison, etc., get some Bridge Trolls in play, and then you can buy all the provinces at once. I think the way that most likely happens is if it's uncontested, that deck's going to beat whatever else you do. There's nothing else here nearly strong enough, I don't think, to contest the Bridge Troll engine. If it is contested, then you'll probably struggle to get enough Bridge Trolls to empty the provinces. You'd want like 7 or 8 Bridge Trolls. With 8 Bridge Trolls, you'd have 9 buys, and you could buy all the provinces for 0 each. With 7 Bridge Trolls, you'd have 8 buys, but you have to have 8 money to buy all the provinces. So somewhere around that number is where you'd want to empty the provinces. If they're contested, you're probably not going to win the Bridge Troll split 7 or 8 to 2 or 3. So what would likely happen is you both build toward the Bridge Troll engine, because if one of you doesn't, the other person wins. And then it probably ends on a 3 pile where both of you have some number of Bridge Trolls and a lot of buys, and then it ends on like Bridge Troll, Fortress, Duchy, or something like that. So the opening, I think, on 5-2, so first on 4-3, I think Hermit Amulet seems like a really strong opening, or just double Amulet. I think I take Hermit Amulet. Hermit's a little bit better at trashing the shelters, because I would like to pick up a Madman if I could on one of those plays. On 5-2, you could just ball to get Hermit and Amulet. I think that's probably better than any of the 5s in the open, because none of the 5s trash. The other option could be on 5-2, you could take Den of Sin and then just like buy Hermit. On 2-5, you could consider Ride Ball. Take both of those. I think I wouldn't mind that. You couldn't take Ride on 5-2 because you'd have the -1 coin token left over for Ball. Let's see how they open. So they both take Amulet, which is good, and they both take Fortress, which is really, really bad. Fortress is a card that you're definitely going to want some of eventually. Like, it's one of the 2 main villages here, along with Royal Carriage. But you just basically never, ever want to open Fortress in the opening. You don't open villages because they're not doing anything for you yet. The main purpose of a village is to help resolve collision between multiple terminal action cards. Like, if you had 2 or 3 Amulets, 2 or 3 Hermits, you might want to add some villages. So you can play them all. But at this point in the game, they, A, have only 1 terminal action card, so they cannot conceivably collide with anything else. And B, with shelters around, they even already have 1 village starting in their deck in the form of Necropolis. So I strongly dislike the Fortress opening from both of them. So Heze gets both of them get to play Amulet turn 3. That's good. That's really good. With most cards like Hermit or something like that, like a standard action, what really matters going into turn 3 and turn 4 is that you find that card turn 3 or turn 4. After you've bought 2 cards, turn 1, turn 2, you'll have a 12-card deck going into your first reshuffle, and likely 2 cards will miss that reshuffle most of the time, because you'll see 5 turn 3, 5 turn 4, and 2 will miss. And it really sucks if like your Hermit or your Vassal or something, or whatever other action card is in that bottom 2, because it means they missed the shuffle, right? You don't get to see them in your first reshuffle. They get shuffled straight back into the second reshuffle, and then you're only seeing them for the first time turn 5, turn 6, whenever. Whereas if you can play a Hermit like turn 3 or turn 4, then what ends up happening is it goes back into your shuffle, and you can find it a second time turn 5 or turn 6. Now with a duration card, like say Amulet, what's important is not that you see it turn 3 or turn 4. It's a lot better if you see Amulet turn 3 than turn 4 or turn 5. Because duration cards stay out of play the next turn. So if you found the Amulet turn 4, you could play it turn 4, but then it's not going back into your shuffle for turn 5, turn 6, because it's still in play. And so it's really nice if you can play your Amulet turn 3, because you get 1 trash in turn 3, 1 trash in turn 4, and then you can shuffle back in again turn 5, turn 6. So duration cards are ones you really like to see turn 3. It looks like they both got that here. I like that hezeheze chose to trash. I really, really dislike DarthSensitive's play turn 3. They got their amulet down, but then A, they neglected to trash with it, and B, they used it for extra money to buy another fortress. What do you need multiple fortresses for, DarthSensitive? You have one action card, your amulet, and it's already in play. Yeah, the early fortresses are just a huge mistake. I don't understand why they want these so much. Hezeheze takes a hermit turn 4. I like that. I don't like that they gained a silver though. You might take like a silver at some point in this kingdom, maybe, just to help you hit like 5 once or twice for bridge troll. But this is not a kingdom where you want treasures. The payload is going to be bridge troll, and then everything's going to cost like 0 relatively fast, and so you're not going to need a whole lot of money for that deck to work. I would absolutely, without any doubt in my mind, trash there. Just trash your hovel, and then you're in a good spot. Darth Fortress turn 4 takes... I didn't even mean to call him Darth Fortress. Now it's already subliminal. DarthSensitive turn 4 takes yet another fortress. Oh no, this is like it, I don't know what Hezeheze's plan is, but like, you know, versus someone playing optimally, I would say DarthSensitive is already like lost by turn 4. I could not conceive of someone winning after opening with 3 villages and 1 terminal action card. They've basically passed 3 turns because their deck is just not doing anything. They did at least trash their hovel, which is good. Alright, Hezeheze picks up a Bridge Troll. I like that. I think Bridge Troll is likely to be my first 5. You could consider Den of Sin, because Den of Sin will get you jump started real fast. Like if you knew you had a dud turn coming up, you might take Den of Sin, so you can hit 5 again next turn. But I think Bridge Troll is the other strong contender. One nice interaction to look out for here is Ball costs 5 and lets you gain 2 4-cost cards. Now, the 4 costs here, they're not super amazing. You know, like, Hermit Amulet will be very good early on for trashing, but, like, that's not what you want your deck to do long term. The 5s are really good, though. Den of Sin, Royal Carriage, Catacombs, Bridge Troll, those are all really good. If you can get a Bridge Troll in play, those 5-cost cards now cost 4. So if you hit 5 and have Bridge Troll in play, you can ball and get 2 of those 5-cost cards. You could, like, ball for 2 Dens of Sin, ball for Royal Carriage, Bridge Troll, etc. And so that's something I'll be looking to do. Oh my lord, turn 5, DarthSensitive, another what are they planning? What do you think this card does? So Fortress is literally, it's just a village. It's literally a village. It's just +1 card, +2 actions. It has this little on-trash benefit where if you trash it, you don't lose it. But like that's just not relevant here. Unless you're trying to do some like death card thing, which I don't know, sounds really bad. Why are they taking so many fortresses? I do not understand for the life of me what their plan is. Okay. They both bought Den of Sin. Den of Sin's a perfectly fine buy. I like that turn 7. Alright, now I'm caught up. So, it looks like this game's already won for Hezeheze. DarthSensitive has a deck full of villages, and not a whole lot to show for it. It's not like you're even going to win the village split by particularly much, because if you have a deck that has nothing but villages in it, you're kind of capped at buying at most 1 more fortress per turn. Whereas Hezeheze has a deck that's doing things, and can now, if they wanted to, for example, they could ball for the last 4 fortresses this turn, and actually win the split versus the person who spammed fortresses forever. Now, I'm not going to say balling for fortresses is necessarily the optimal play here, but it just demonstrates the point. I think here I would probably ball twice. I would take another Bridge Troll for next turn, and another Den of Sin. So that's 2 of the 5 costs. And then I'm not sure what else I'd take. Maybe a second Den of Sin and a second Bridge Troll. Definitely I'm taking at least 1 Bridge Troll and Den of Sin here. And then you can pick 2 more 5s. 2 Royal Carriages, 2 more Den of Sin. Not strongly opinionated. Alright, Hezeheze finds the ball interaction. That's good. They've already gotten rid of their Hermit, which is a little bit of a shame, because once you get, 2 Bridge Trolls in play, all of a sudden your Hermit, which gains 3-cost cards, can now also gain you a bunch of really nice stuff. I mean, trading the Hermit in for a Madman is good. I'm going to do that. But often when you do that, you just gain another Hermit. They played their Hermit to gain a Silver, which I like a bit less. I talked earlier where I don't think Silver is super important in this kingdom. I think I would just regain another Hermit off of that. I like turning it into Madman, though. Madman's a good card. Helps jumpstart your deck fast. All right. So now what does DarthSensitive do here? It looks like they should probably be picking up Bridge Troll about now. I don't know. Their deck's just kind of already done. Like they've got they got nothing. Okay, so trash a copper. You still have 5 even if you trash a copper. You don't need to have 6. There's nothing you want to buy for 6. This amulet should absolutely trash a copper. Okay, good. They trashed a copper. Now for 5, I think Bridge Troll could also be Denizen. They bought... I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. No, you don't need more fortresses. Their deck is like 80% fortresses at this point. And B, if they wanted fortresses, they could have just used ball to gain 2 of them. Why do they want exactly 1 fortress? I really don't know what they're thinking. I like hezeheze's play so far. I think they are broadly doing most of the right things here. This is generally what the deck in this kingdom ought to look like. They're gaining more silvers. It's hard to comment on what DarthSensitive is doing because I don't know. I cannot guess based on their play what their plan is. Doesn't make any sense to me though. They have 5, 6, some huge number of villages in their deck, and then some vassals, and that's it. Please don't buy province. Okay, Bridge Troll. Bridge Troll's a good buy there. All right, now we're starting to move in the right direction. Certainly much too late, but Bridge Troll is definitely a good buy. All right, now what's hezeheze take? You could take Denizen, Bridge Troll, Hermit. You could take Ball, Denizen, Bridge Troll, Double Hermit. I think hezeheze only has 3 or 4 of the fortresses, but that's not a big concern because if they need extra actions, they can just get a Royal Carriage, and you can call Royal Carriage on fortress, which is like plus 2 actions. So you're like getting 2 like Royal Carriage plus fortress is like getting 3 total fortress effects, because you play the Royal Carriage or you play the fortress twice, but you're only spending 1 action to play it twice because Royal Carriage does not cost you an action. So you can easily get more than enough actions in this kingdom with just like a few fortresses and a bunch of Royal Carriages. It's not like, even if DarthSensitive's long-term plan was like Bridge Troll or something, there's no value in like denying your opponent the fortresses, because you could get by with like 2 fortresses and a bunch of Royal Carriages. You're perfectly fine. Even like 1 fortress and a bunch of Royal Carriages. I wouldn't want to play with 1 because then you might not find it in like the start of your hand. But certainly you don't need a lot of total fortresses for your deck to work. More vassals. I think DarthSensitive is just kind of sort of fundamentally misdiagnosed this kingdom. This is not a vassal kingdom at all. It's not a money kingdom. You don't want lots of money. You want to play lots of Bridge Trolls. Bridge Troll's a really strong card, and it's a really strong card when you can play a lot of them. With Ball around, with Denizen around, there's like a lot of good enablers here for Bridge Troll. Hezeheze is not quite trashed enough. Maybe if there was a mistake, my guess is they probably needed like a second amulet earlier, or to trap. They weren't trashing consistently. We saw that earlier. I think turn 4, I want to say, Heze declined to trash with their amulet. Yeah, so turn 4 they gained a silver off their amulet. I think if there's a big mistake in Heze's play, it's probably that, which is they went a little too hard gaining money that they don't really need very much at this point. But now they're not quite finding all their cards. I mean, they're still absolutely winning this game. But I think that's probably the biggest misplay. Is they should probably be about clean by now. Oh no! Oh, I was just complimenting you, Heze. Why did you do that? No. Province and I don't want either of those cards in my deck. Province and Vassal. So the way this kingdom works is you play a bunch of bridge trolls, and then you can buy all the provinces in one turn. There's no reason to buy provinces one at a time with a card like Bridge or Bridge Troll around, because the cards stack geometrically, right? The more Bridge Trolls than you have, it's like more than double. Like playing 2 Bridge Trolls is more than twice as good as playing 1, because each of them additionally compounds on each other. You play 1 bridge 8 times, you're buying like 5 cost cards 8 times. You play 8 bridges in 1 turn, you're buying all the provinces for 0 coins each. Bridge Troll's even better in that regard, because you can play like 4 Bridge Trolls 1 turn, 4 Bridge Trolls the other turn, and Bridge Troll will still be in play. And so, Bridge Troll is really easy to get a bunch of in play. This is absolutely not the time to be provincing if I'm in hezeheze shoes. This is the time to make sure I got control of my deck and can get a bunch of Bridge Trolls in play. That should have been like, how much money did they have there? Like 11? Yeah, they had 5, 7. They had Bridge Troll in play? Yeah, they had Bridge Trolls in play. They probably should have just balled for more Bridge Trolls and Dens of Sin. I really, really dislike the province buy. There's no point in taking it. I mean, like, they're going to win anyway. Their opponent bought 1 million fortresses. But, yeah. Province, it's not the time to province when you got like 2 Bridge Trolls in your deck. One thing I haven't talked about yet, but as far as 3-piling goes, Death Cart plus Ball actually makes 3-piling really easy. You could empty, 4 ruins with 1 buy by balling for Death Cart. Now, I don't think you particularly need to do that because Vassal and Denizen are both very low. But like theoretically, you could empty 8 ruins with 2 buys by just balling for 2 Death Carts twice. So that's something to look out for as far as 3-pile threats go. Vassals should not be at 3. They should be at like 9 or 10. There's no point having. Why are they? I was so sure Heze had this kingdom correctly figured out, because they were doing all the right stuff. They were taking fortresses, Bridge Trolls, Dens of Sin. They were trashing reasonably well, and then at some point they decided, nah, I'm done playing right. I'm just gonna let my deck devolve into some like big money thing. I don't know why that happened. Like, why do they have gold? Why do they have silver? They had like more or less the right deck composition, and they've kind of destroyed it. Oh my god, does DarthSensitive now have the better deck? What? Wait, let's see. Do they have a win here? No, I don't think they have a win yet, because they're just too far behind in points. They could empty piles, but they would empty piles on a loss. So DarthSensitive should probably like. I like the ball. You gotta be looking for lowering piles. Heze doesn't have any Bridge Trolls down, but they do have 2 Dens of Sin. And if you lower piles too much, they can just pile out on you. But it's a shame because DarthSensitive kind of really wants Dens of Sin. But I don't think you can afford to take him here, because now piles are way too low. Way, way, way too low. If I were DarthSensitive, I might consider balling for like Catacombs as my source of draw. Because Catacombs, it's like, I think a bit worse than Denizen in this kingdom, but DarthSensitive surely has more fortresses than they need, and the Denizen pile's too low. So now Heze just needs to find like a Bridge Troll. If their like Vassal hits a Bridge Troll or they draw a Bridge Troll, they should most likely be able to win this. Which I guess, given that they now fill the deck with treasures, is far from guaranteed. Alright, do they still have the win? Not quite. They could Hermit for a Vassal. No, they don't have the win because they need to get a Bridge Troll down to be able to ball for like Denizen Vassal. Now Heze does just kind of need to buy province, and it's probably going to be losing anyway because DarthSensitive will win on their next turn. But you can't let your opponent go into the next turn without a points deficit and with like 3 cards left in the last 2 piles. I really cannot believe this. This game was just like beyond lost, and at some point it kind of feels like DarthSensitive and hezeheze like switched seats or something, because like through like turn 8 or turn 9, hezeheze was doing all the right things, and DarthSensitive was like frolicking around in Fortress Land. And then DarthSensitive, I guess, saw Heze's deck and was like, I like that. I'm going to do that now. And took some Bridge Trolls. And then it's like, all right, now I'm going to play the Bridge Troll deck. And then Heze was like, I've had enough of winning. I'm going to buy treasures now and throw the game. And I really can't explain why either of those things occurred. But now DarthSensitive should almost certainly win here. You definitely play the Madman first. So DarthSensitive needs to... So they have... What? How many Bridge Trolls? They don't have any Bridge Trolls in play. So they need to find some of the Bridge Trolls. But then they should be able to do... What? Province, Duchy, Double Vassal, Den of Sin. I think that's pretty doable for their deck. Why do they have a Death card? All right, they still need to find their Bridge Troll to make this work. Okay, they found it. So I think they should have it now, right? So they can buy province. Yeah, so they buy province. They ball for Den of Sin Duchy. They ball for... Oh, they don't have quite enough money for that. They still have it though. You buy province. You ball for Den of Sin Duchy. You buy 2 vassals. You win. They have enough money to do that. All right, looks like they found it. This also works. Wow, that was... Yeah, that was a weird comeback. It's like both of them were like orchestrating the comeback together. Like they both played a role in that comeback. Oh wait. Did they switch? I hope they switched player order. Yeah, looks like they did. All right, what do we have here? So, action. We got Fortress again. Uh-oh. DarthSensitive, don't do it. We also have Hamlet, which can be a village if you discard a card. Draw. We have Vault, which is +2 cards. That's pretty weak as a main source of draw because it's like a 5-cost card and it just gives you +2 cards. But we also have Pathfinding, which is a one-time $8 cost, but then you can put the plus card token on any pile. So let's say you bought some fortresses. Oh god, I can't believe I'm saying this. You buy a bunch of fortresses and then you put Pathfinding on it, and all of a sudden the fortresses are all now also laboratories. So they function like Lost City, where they give +2 card and +2 action. Trashing. Church can trash real well. Bounty Hunter can exile stuff, which is about as good as trashing. We also have Junking in the form of Familiar, which can give out curses, which is kind of like anti-trashing. And then plus buy, we got plus buy off of Storeroom. We also have plus buy off of Hamlet if you discard a card. So, do you want to play with Familiar here? Probably. You know, there is decent enough trashing that maybe you could ignore it, but it's pretty strong to give it all 10 curses. Openings I'm considering are like Bounty Hunter, Church to get trashed real fast, I think is a real strong opening. You could take Storeroom Potion to try to get the junking in real early. You could also just do the Bounty Hunter Church thing first, pick up a potion on your next reshuffle, and then start the cursing a little bit slower. Oh no, oh no, oh no, DarthSensitive, not again. Oh, we're doing none of that. We're just buying fortresses again. I hope they didn't get misled from the last game and the fact that they won that into thinking that buying fortresses is actually a good strategy. This is tragic. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going down the fortress line again. Yeah, so my priorities here are get trashed and think about the curses. And then next priority is to hit 8. I want to hit 8 like once for Pathfinding. And my ideal thing to put Pathfinding on would be Fortress. That'd be real nice. But like, if, for example, my opponent has just inexplicably spent all their turns buying fortresses, I'd be perfectly happy just like Pathfinding Hamlet or something instead and using Hamlet as my draw. All right, so how do they open? DarthSensitive opens Fortress, Camel Train. I really hate both of those. Why do you need Camel Train? You're not... Camel Train does none of the things that you want to do in the opening. It just it halfway gains you a bunch of cards. You gain extra cards that are then stuck in your exile mat until you buy a copy. But you're not looking to gain a bunch of cards. You're looking to trash your cards. Yeah, I really dislike both of those. Hezeheze opens Hamlet Treasure Trove. Oh no. Treasure Trove is a thing, it's good for big money decks. You just buy Treasure Trove, you say, I'm going to forget ever having any semblance of deck control. I'm just going to flood my deck with golds and coppers and buy provinces. In Weak Kingdoms, Treasure Trove can be a strong big money card. This doesn't seem like a weak big money kingdom to me. I don't know why you would buy Treasure Trove, because it's just, it's going to eviscerate any hope you ever have of building an engine. You're going to fill your deck with tons and tons of treasures and never have it under control. On 5-2, I think I would just ignore the 5s and buy one of the 4-cost cards, just open Bounty Hunter Hamlet or something. Or Church Hamlet or Potion Hamlet. Probably not Potion Hamlet, I don't like that one as much. Just open with Bounty Hunter Church and just be a little bit sad. 5-2 is definitely worse here, but no point to make it worse than it has to be. None of the 5s here look wannable. DarthSensitive buys Charm. I really dislike every card that's been bought up until this turn. Charm is another card that it doesn't get you any thinner, it doesn't get you deck control, it doesn't help you with junking, it's doing nothing to improve the quality of your deck. It's just helping you gain more and more cards. And Charm's a good card eventually. It eventually can be good payload, but after you've got control of your deck, which they're not even attempting to do. Hezeheze takes Bounty Hunter turn 3. That's the first buy of this game. Bounty Hunter is a real strong card. It trashes and it helps you hit high price points, which we said you kind of want to do here with Pathfinding. Hamlets and Storerooms seem alright. I think Storeroom probably should be Church. Definitely between the two, Church seems stronger. Storeroom Potion is kind of a nice opening often, because it kind of guarantees you see your potion and can see it with 3 coins. But in general, Church, I think, is just a very strong card for trashing purposes. And if I'm not specifically getting Storeroom for the purpose of opening Potion, I don't think I would get it here until late. On turn 5, so the reason you buy Hamlet is if you have 2 coins. Hamlet's better than nothing. The reason you buy Hamlet is not because Hamlet's a particularly strong card or anything early in the game. Heze turn 5 has more than 2 coins and decides to buy 2 Hamlets anyway, which I don't understand at all. That could have been a second Bounty Hunter, that could be a Potion, that could be a Church. 2 Hamlets is not really doing a whole lot of anything for your deck. DarthSensitive, for some reason, decides that was a good play and decides to copy it. Oh no. Oh no. So this is the second game in a row where DarthSensitive has just wasted all their buys buying villages. And I think Heze, after losing to that strategy the previous game, has decided that it is in fact a good strategy and has decided to copy it. So now we see a deck full of villages with no purpose, because how many terminal action cards do they have between them? DarthSensitive has a Camel Train. Has a Storeroom. Each of them have exactly 1 terminal action card in their deck. One has a Camel Train, the other one has a Storeroom. There is no conceivable way their deck could possibly need plus action at this point, because they only have a single terminal action to play. So the lesson here is, villages are a very good card for engines, because once you've added a bunch of good cards, cards that actually do stuff, like Vault and stuff, the villages help you play more of those good cards. Villages, on their own, do nothing for you. They just help you play more of the cards that do stuff for you. So you want to add the villages after you've got the good cards in your deck to make sure you can make an appropriate... Yeah, they even have Necropolis. That's also true, as McWaffle points out. They even start the game with 1 village in the form of Necropolis. Once you've got yourself multiple terminal action cards, then you want to start adding in an extra village for every terminal action so you can make sure you can play all of them. You don't just want villages for the sake of villages. I am also surprised no one has gone for Familiars. It's a strong attack. Heze has at least 2 Bounty Hunters. That's, I think, the only decision this entire game that I've liked. Is Bounty Hunter is a good card. They're at least making some effort to get trash. They're not going to succeed because they open with Treasure Trove, and like fill the deck with coppers and stuff. But Bounty Hunter is at least a step in the right direction. DarthSensitive has foregone trashing entirely. They have no churches, no Bounty Hunters, but they're also not trying to junk their opponent. Hey. So heze, what do you buy here? Probably a church. I don't even know. Like, it's really hard to say what they ought to do at this point in the game because their decks are already kind of shot. The correct answer is definitely not Fortress, though. Heze still has 1 terminal action card in their entire deck. The storeroom. The correct answer is not buy more villages. That can be said without the shadow of a doubt. It might even be too late for them to consider buying potion, because if you've got a deck that's that full of junk, you shuffle through all the junk to find the potion once, then you buy the familiar, you shuffle through all the junk again to play the familiar one time. You're not going to be cursing your opponent very quickly. At this point, I guess if I were like given Heze's deck and said, play from here, I think maybe you just start buying like Vault or 2, Treasure Trove or 2, and just turn it into like Vault, Treasure Trove money or something at this point. It's probably the best thing their deck can do now. Definitely does not involve more villages. And it's probably too late to try to build an engine. That has probably failed. Is Road Network ever a good buy? I think Road Network's okay. Sometimes you often pick it up right around the time you're considering starting to green. And it kind of depends on what other 5s are around, Like, if I was considering buying a Vault with a deck like Heze's, I think I would rather the Road Network at around that point in the game. Because if I've already got a deck that's really full of treasures, any other draw card I throw in there, like Vault, I'm only going to see it, like, every 4 or 5 turns, maybe. Right? Because I have a really thick deck, and I'm not going to be drawing through it regularly. And so a Vault added to that deck, I'm going to see maybe once or twice. Whereas a Road Network added to that deck, right around the turn you start to green, you're probably going to get the effect like 4 or 5 times each time your opponent greens. So like a big money deck like this, at some point towards like the mid-game, like, I don't know, turn 9, turn 11 or so, right about the time I'm starting to green, if I hit like 5 or something, I think I would take like Road Network over Vault. And it seems fine. I don't think Road Network's ever like a super high priority thing, but like it is draw, and it's particularly good draw in bad decks. Because, like a big money deck that's full of stuff, a card you add, you're not going to see every turn. Whereas the Road Network effect is going to be in play every turn, and so you're going to be getting the effect more often than a card you add to your deck. I think Road Network is often a lot less important for engines, partly because engines can do a lot more by adding 1 more 5-cost action, and then Road Network is competing for space in the deck with that. It's also often worse than engines because there's fewer total turns where you're greening, and so the effect's not going to matter very much. Like, maybe it draws you 8 cards when your opponent buys out all 8 provinces with their, like, Horn of Plenty Mega Turn, but then, it didn't really help you. Yeah, that's my answer. It's just, like, sometimes it's kind of helpful. Not usually super important, given that they are both playing some big money thing. Could see play here. So DarthSensitive, I guess, ought to buy a gold. I kind of feel similar about DarthSensitive's deck at this point, which is they haven't even exiled anything. Heze has at least exiled a copper and a hovel with their bounty hunters. DarthSensitive has not even done that. So they're also kind of locked into big money at this point. I think it's too late to reasonably build an engine here. And so I think for them the answer is just buy gold. Gross as that may be. The first 8 here should definitely be throwing Pathfinding on either Hamlet or Fortress, whichever one you happen to have more of. Let's see. Gains a Hamlet. HDDH. So D has 6 hamlets. So if I'm DarthSensitive, I'm putting pathfinding on hamlets, surely. Why is there 1 fortress unaccounted for? Oh, DarthSensitive. Okay, so Heze has 4 hamlets and 3 fortresses. There, I'm a little less sure. Like, on the one hand, if you put pathfinding on hamlet, you're immediately getting 4 labs into your deck instead of 3. On the other hand, you could conceivably pathfind fortress with the idea that there's still fortresses left, so you could buy a few more. Not totally sure whether I choose fortress or hamlet in Heze's shoes. What do you buy for 7 here? Vault? I think Vault's better for your deck than gold at this point. Do they have gold exiled maybe? No, they don't have gold exiled. I think it's by Vault here. Gold also seems fine. Even Road Network is probably about fine at this point. Wouldn't hate a Road Network buy. No, I think I want to throw in one more action card before I reshuffle. And once I reshuffle my deck, then I start thinking about Road Network. Yeah, why did they discard for Hamlet? They should have thought about that. I mean, it's not like an unreasonable thing to ask for a redo for because they haven't really learned any new information. But I think they just like went through the motions of discarding for plus buy for some reason without really counting it up. All right, yeah, this is definitely the best play now. Given they can hit 8. It seems that they're unfamiliar with how to multiply undo. You can undo multiple steps at one time if you just like type \undo and then insert the number you want to undo, like \undo 4 would undo 4 steps. You also type \undo and not enter a number, and then it'll prompt you to click the spot in the log you want to undo to. Because Heze just spent a lot more clicks than they needed to. Just a not well-known feature about the client, but one that exists, is you can undo by just typing in the chat. All right, yeah, now they got 8. So now definitely Pathfind Hamlet or Fortress. Either seems fine. I think I lean towards Hamlet, because you probably want to start greening soon. I don't want to... Bounty Hunter. That's not what I expected. How many bounty hunters do they have? They have 3 bounty hunters. Yes, so to answer a turn-based question, this kingdom really ought to have been an engine. There's definitely an engine to be built here. Neither of them attempted to do so. You open with, like, I think we discussed Bounty Hunter Church, I think is a strong opening for getting trashed fast. You could also consider, like, Storeroom Potion to get to start on junking earlier. I think my optimal choice would probably be, like, Bounty Hunter Church, pick up the potion on the reshuffle. And, yeah, the engine's going to crush what we're seeing here, because they're going to have a deck full of, like, 10 curses. You're going to have easily an ability to draw your deck with, like, Pathfinding plus Vault. You got plus buy around. You got extra gains. This is definitively an Engine Kingdom. On 5-2, which I think Heze had, I think probably just Bounty Hunter Hamlet. 5-2 is definitely worse here. I don't want any of the 5s in the opening. But yeah, Engine 100%. Now, I was also saying, though, at this point in the game, it's too late. Like, if you were handed DarthSensitive's deck or Heze's deck and had to play with it, from like turn 7 or so onwards, they'd already kind of added too much junk to their deck to start building an engine at that point. So from that point onwards, they're kind of locked into big money now. And so it's too late to build the engine that could have existed. And so from here, big money is probably the right play. So DarthSensitive should just buy Pathfinding, put it on Hamlet. Seems like a very clear play. Yep, they found that. Now, for Darth, I think I want Road Network before I start provincing. I could just see taking province here. Could be like Road Network, Silver, Road Network, Storeroom, Road Network, Church, something like that. But like Province at this point is not terrible. I really don't know what DarthSensitive's deck was meant to do. They're basically playing money, but they didn't buy either of the main money cards. Treasure Trove and Vault are both good cards for big money. Yeah, I'm kind of confused by their strategy. Like, you definitely shouldn't play big money here, but if you should, it would be like Treasure Trove first, then like a Vault. Treasure Trove, every once in a while you can add it to an engine as payload. Like, let's say you've hit the point where you're drawing your deck with an engine, and you're like, I want to start adding golds now. Well, you could add a Treasure Trove and then get a gold per turn that way, if your deck is good at trashing coppers. Like, let's say you've got some foragers lying around and you needed to trash stuff with forager anyway, or you've got like a monastery or something where you could just trash the copper as it comes in at no cost. I think adding a Treasure Trove to an engine deck could be an easy way to feed some extra golds into it to get payload quickly. And that usually happens after you've got deck control. Usually, the main use of Treasure Trove is it's pretty strong in big money. If you see a kingdom, like, imagine you took out, like, Fortress, and, well, you have to move a lot of cards to make this, what would you take out? Imagine you ignored most of the action cards. Then, if I were playing money here and forgetting all the like 4 cost and less actions, you'd like buy a Treasure Trove, then buy a Vault. And I would think of adding a gold and a copper to your deck as basically about the same as adding 2 silvers to your deck, right? On average, that's how much money a gold and copper are getting you. If anything, gold and copper are probably slightly better for big money than 2 silvers because it's spikier. You know, you'll hit some turns with a lot of money, some turns with few, which is good because you want to spike 8. And so just getting a card that floods your deck with silvers, functionally, is pretty good for big money because pretty quickly the average hand size, or the average value of a 5-card hand will be like $10, right? Imagine you just had like a deck full of infinite golds and infinite coppers in equal measure. You'd be hitting 10 pretty consistently. And so Treasure Trove gets you to that point in your deck pretty fast. And so you can start greening pretty early with Treasure Trove. Now, certainly in this kingdom, you know, if you're trying to build an engine, I would absolutely not have done what Heze did and open with Treasure Trove, because it's going to add a bunch of coppers and golds real fast, and you're never going to get deck control. You buy Treasure Trove early if you're not attempting to get deck control, if you're just playing a very simple big money deck. All right, how much does Darth have here? 8, 10, 12, 15? Could be Province Road Network, Province Duchy. Either of those. Gold. Oh, goodness. No, not gold. You don't need to be building more. The game is like almost over. There's 3 provinces left in the pile. There's a decent chance they just never even see that gold again. Road Network and Duchy were the 2 things I thought could conceivably be out there. That was very much not a turn for gold. Likewise, at this point, don't discard anything to this hamlet. You're about to trigger a shuffle. So if you discard anything to the hamlet now, it's going back into that reshuffle, and then you're going to draw that card again in the next shuffle. If you're considering discarding with hamlet, play the next hamlet, then you'll have triggered the new shuffle, and then you can discard stuff, and it's going back into a fresh discard pile after you've shuffled your deck. All right, good. They're doing it that way. Probably don't discard anything. I would just exile the Camel Train. Camel Train's doing nothing for you now, but it can score you 3 coins. They exile Copper instead, and they play their Camel Train. I don't like this. I don't like this. If you exiled the Camel Train, you could have had 6, 10. You could have bought 2 duchies. Actually, you could have bought like a vault or something and gained 2 duchies, which I guess is marginally better. But like at this point, you know, Darth can't win even if they get both provinces, so they know they got to win a bunch of the duchies. Sounds like my nieces are outside. I'm not sure if that's getting picked up in the audio. It's quite possible DarthSensitive had just never exiled a copper. Let's see. D plays a bounty hunter. Yeah. That was actually only the third time this game they played the bounty hunter. You're probably assuming that they opened bounty hunter, and surely there's a copper on the map by now. And you'd be mistaken in that assumption. They just did not bother picking up a trasher until like very, very late in the game. Yeah, DarthSensitive got their first bounty hunter turn 9, which is like 8 turns too late. Yes, obviously, like in an ideal world, they would have opened with bounty hunter, and they would have already long since had coppers on their map. That is not what has occurred in this game. All right, yeah, this is a win for Heze. DarthSensitive has a lot of golds and nothing to do with them. Heze should just buy Duchy here. Could buy into Road Network too. That's also fine. I think I'd buy Duchy. I wouldn't want to give Darth the ability to have some like they bought Duchy. Have some like magnificent turn and buy like province, double Duchy, estate where they like line up all their hamlets. I don't think that's a realistic possibility, but Duchy seems a little bit safer than Road Network. So, as DarthSensitive, how do you win? You've got to score 15 points. So let's assume you get the next province. That's 9 more points. You have to get 3 more duchies than your opponent and an estate because you're also player 1. That's a tall order. That's a real tall order. This is probably just going to be triple duchy. I don't think there's a realistic way that DarthSensitive wins this. But it's probably got to involve buying 3 duchies here and hoping that Heze just has some, like, magnificently bad shuffles. Yeah, they buy 3 duchies. I think that was the right play. So now if Heze does, which they kind of do, so Heze should buy like duchy estate. Then maybe Darth with like if Darth just found like all their hamlets and treasures on top and all their duchies on bottom, their deck could conceivably win here. That seems real unlikely, but within the realm of like technically possible. Okay, so they can exile either province or duchy for 3 coins, and buy the last duchy. But Heze has the win in hand. We'll see if they see it. They should not play their fortress. They should just exile the fortress with Bounty Hunter, and that's a guaranteed 8. Alright, looks like they... Yeah, they found it. Alright, 1-1. Going into game 3. All right, what have we here? This looks like a pretty strong kingdom. Draw, we have Governor. Net draws you 2 cards, but draws your opponent 1 card. We also have Stables, which can draw by discarding treasure. I think Heze's having trouble interpreting Darth's comment. They're saying the score, but it looks vaguely like a disease. DarthSensitive caught H1D1 this weekend. Anyways, we got draw with Governor and Stables. We have plus action in the form of Mastermind. You play Mastermind at the end of your turn, then you start your next turn playing a card like Sanctuary, Stables, Governor, Scheme, etc. 3 times, and all of a sudden you've got 3 actions to work with for the next turn. So we got Draw and Villages. We got Trashing. Vampire doesn't trash on its own, but it gives you a bat which can trash. You'd also get off a big mint turn where you like buy a mint and trash all your coppers at once. And lastly, you can exile stuff with Sanctuary. So you definitely have a lot of good trashing. Oh, you can also trash with Research. Almost overlooked that one. And then buys and gains. Well, Sanctuary's got plus buy, and Vampire can gain you 5-cost cards. And then Governor gets you golds and can remodel stuff. So what's this kingdom look like? Definitely a big engine to be built here. Orchard around leads me towards building the engine. You know, it's 4 victory points for every action card you get 3 copies of. I would happily take like 3 copies each of like Governor, Stables, Sanctuary, Mastermind, maybe even 3 schemes. Definitely all sound good to me. The long-term payload is definitely going to be Governor. Governor is really strong. You gain golds with Governor, and then you remodel them into provinces. This is a very good way to score points. Note that Bandit Fort is around, which means that golds and silvers will be worth -2 victory points for you. And that might intuitively scare you out of playing Governor, because Governor gives you lots of golds. But I think, if anything, it actively kind of helps Governor more than anything, because for every gold you gain, your opponent gains a silver, which means that -2 victory points is kind of neutral on its own. And if you later trash your gold into a province, you know, that 2 points goes away again for you. So I'd really like to play, you know, Governor for golds, trash golds in the province. This is a long-term payload. Now, the exact order here, I'm not totally sure. I will say I'd rather be drawing with Stables than Governor. Stables seems like a better draw because it doesn't draw your opponent cards. And I like to be using my Governors for payload. So I probably want some number of Stables. I want some number of Governors. Definitely want some Masterminds in there at some point because Mastermind is just a very strong card. Playing an action card thrice is just really good. I think the first 5 is going to be Vampire, though. Darth gets 5/2, which is great. They open Vampire, which I think is the right call. Vampire will help you get trashed fast. It will also help you gain the key 5-cost cards that you want. Heze has 4/3, which is a little bit more awkward. I think Research Silver is pretty fine. I think the other option would be like Silver or Warehouse Silver. I think I'd probably open Warehouse Silver because I think it's the most likely to get me to 5 quickly and get me to play a Vampire quickly. And I could forego a little bit of trashing with Research in the short term to get to Vampire faster and get 5s. But I think Silver Research is totally fine as well. As it happens, Heze hits 5 anyway turn 3, so they're totally fine. They get to pick up their Vampire. I think the Warehouse is... 1 second. Alrighty, I'm back now. Let's see, we got some messages in chat that I haven't read yet. So Turnpike's asking, when building this kind of engine, when do you start picking up the payload Governor here? The answer to that, I think, is not exactly sure. You know, it probably depends on your shuffles a bit. I'd have to see how it plays out. Definitely not my first 5. I might even consider probably getting like 2 Vampires here. Seems like a good number of Vampires. And then maybe the first 5 could either be Sanctuary or Stables. Sanctuary trashes you faster. Stables draws you through your deck faster to find your Vampires quicker. So I think, you know, not that fast. I think Vampires first, Sanctuary and or Stables. And then maybe after I've got a bit of that, my deck's starting to get under control, I'm adding Governor. Like I was saying, I think I conceive of Governor here as more of a payload card. You know, you got good draw with Stables. So you don't need the Governor for draw early on. So I want to add the Governor about the time I want to start adding golds and remodeling stuff, which is going to be after I'm drawing my deck. So I think you can hold off on Governor for a bit. Yeah, the terminal space thing here isn't really an issue. You know, you don't need the villages because, I mean, there's a scenario where you get mint. Like if turn 3 I were DarthSensitive and I hit 5 coppers in my hand, I would absolutely buy mint. That would be amazing and pretty lucky. And then I'd already have a very thin deck. At that point, I probably would just take so DarthSensitive had Vampire, turn 1. If turn 3, they saw like 5 coppers, you could buy a mint, then you'd be real thin already because you've trashed like 5 of your coppers. At that point, I could consider adding a Governor as my first 5 off of Vampire. Because I'd already be pretty thin, I want to start adding Payload pretty fast. And then if you had Mint in your deck, maybe you need the Mastermind to be able to play the Mint, because Mint's terminal. But in general, you don't need the Mastermind, I think, particularly for like terminal space issues here. I think you probably mostly need it just because, like, well, you buy a 1/5 card, like Stables, you're getting 1 more play of a 5-cost card. You buy Mastermind, you're getting 2 more plays of a 5-cost card, because you get to play the 1 Stables you have 3 times, which adds like 2 more Stables plays to your deck. Alright, so I'm a little behind on what they're actually doing now. Let's see if I can get caught up. So it looks like H bought another Vampire. That seems good. I don't like buying more silvers, I don't think. It's Darth-sensitive. You'll get plenty of silvers off of Governor. I think if you already got a warehouse, 1 warehouse is probably fine. Maybe just buy some schemes. Seems better than more silvers. Yeah, Darth-sensitive keep buying silvers. I'm not a big fan of the silvers. I think they're kind of impeding your ability to get thin real fast. You can gain your 5-cost cards off of the Vampires that you've got, so you don't need silvers for the purpose of hitting 5. I think I'd probably prefer scheme there. The silver's like terrible or anything, but I think it's suboptimal. All right. What does Heze do here? Kind of want to find something to feed to my bat. Could consider just play the research, or not just play the research, just play the Sanctuary, and then don't play the Research or Warehouse, and then trash whatever you drew to the bat, and then play the Vampire, and then the Vampire you gained off of the bat, and the 5-cost you gained off the Vampire going right back into your shuffle. That's possible. You could also play the Sanctuary, do the thing I said, and then trash the Warehouse to the... Okay, well, this works out anyway. They had a discard, so... that whole don't play your Research or your Warehouse thing is now kind of a given, because they no longer have them in hand. Yeah, so this works out to be about the same as what they probably ought to have done anyway. So I don't think that discard attack actually hurt nearly as much as it looked like it did. It would have been fine to like trash the Warehouse to the Research anyway. You trigger a shuffle, but you're going to have like an 8-card hand next turn, which probably makes it less of an issue. Alrighty. I think they're a little heavy on Sanctuaries at this point. It looks like they have 5 between the 2 of them. I think that's more than you need. I think you want like maybe a Sanctuary to get thin, but you're also going to be able to trash with Bat, which makes trashing with Sanctuary less of a concern. And you're okay not trashing your coppers super fast if your draw is Stables, because you can just discard the coppers with Stables anyway. So I don't think... I mean, like, you will eventually want to trash all the coppers for sure, but I don't think you're in any rush to do so. I think 5 Sanctuaries between the 2 of them is a bit overkill. I think that definitely could have been Stables. Because also consider that if you're adding cards that help draw your deck better, like Stables, and you draw around to the Sanctuaries you do have faster, and draw around to the bats that you do have faster, that's also helping you trash quickly. So I think you might not even need a Sanctuary. You could maybe just get by with bats. But I think 1 Sanctuary is defensible. After 1, I start taking Stables for sure. Alright, so as Heze, you play the Mastermind, and then you trash that silver to the bat, because I think I'd rather have a Vampire in my deck. And then this Vampire can probably be Stables, and the next one Governor. Could just be Governor already, because they already have a bunch of trashing. Even a second Mastermind wouldn't be terrible. I think I would add... I'm not exactly sure how thick their deck is. If their deck's pretty thin already, Governor seems like a pretty good call. If they're still not quite drawn everything, probably Stables. Yeah, governor seems fine. What is the sanctuary split? THHHD. So Heze has 3 sanctuaries to Darth's 2. So why is Darth so behind? So Heze's got more sanctuaries. They've got the mastermind. They've got the governor. But Darth was the one who got to open with vampire. What happened? Heze, I guess, did have some decent draws after turn 1, turn 2. They got their vampire turn 3. They got off a research. They got another vampire turn 5. It now looks like DarthSensitive is kind of substantially behind. What do they pick up on their first vampire? I'm assuming Sanctuary. Yeah. I just noticed, I don't think I was here for this play, but turn 6, DarthSensitive chooses to buy another silver in lieu of trashing a copper, which kind of sounds double bad. A, I don't think you really want more silver in your deck, and B, I'd really rather have a copper out of my deck. You know, I think one of the main things that leads me to think Heze is in the lead right now is their deck is a lot thinner and cleaner, and it looks like it might be because DarthSensitive neglected to trash as quickly as they could have and added extra junk. Alright, so as Heze... Oh, I don't like that. Undo that. Okay, good, they undid that. I would just probably buy nothing and feed both coppers to the bat. You could buy a Scheme here, I guess. Their deck is thin enough that it's not a huge issue. Another warehouse I dislike. You know, one warehouse can be alright for reliability, but you don't really want to have a lot of them in your deck, because warehouse is like net hurting your draw. It's plus 3 cards and minus 3 cards, which ends up making your hand size smaller every time you play it. You have a hand with warehouse and 4 other cards, so a 5-card hand. You play the warehouse, you draw up to 7, because the warehouse, left your hand, so you're down to 4, and then you draw 3 cards, and now you're at 7, then you discard 3 cards, you're back down to 4. So from a 5-card hand, warehouse leaves you with a 4-card hand. You add a bunch of warehouses, you either don't play them all and they're getting in your way, or you play them all and they're reducing your hand size. Neither is particularly desirable. One warehouse can be kind of fine, because you can discard your green cards with it and move yourself through the shuffle faster. But it's not a card I want to have many copies of in my deck. In fact, the main reason you might even want a warehouse to find your stuff, I think, is also resolved by Scheme kind of more effectively. Scheme doesn't have that problem. Scheme is just plus 1 card, so Scheme is draw neutral. If you have a 5-card hand with Scheme in it, and you play the Scheme, you're down to 4 cards because the Scheme left your hand, then you draw a card, you're back up to 5. So Scheme, unlike Warehouse, doesn't reduce your hand size, but it lets you top deck a card. So you play a Mastermind, you top deck a Stables, or you top deck a Governor. You're kind of guaranteed to have a good starting hand next turn, because you can play your key 5-cost card 3 times in a row, and from there your turn's kind of guaranteed to kick off. So I think you might even be able to get by with no warehouses here in some scenarios. One warehouse I think is kind of fine in the early game to get through all your junk real fast, but I don't think I would ever look to add a second warehouse in this kingdom. Let alone a third. I think they think this card is better than it is. Mass warehouses in your deck is really kind of proactively dragging your deck down. For Darth, this could be a Mastermind, a Stables, or a Governor. All those seem kind of fine. Or not for Darth, I mean for Heze. Yep, Governor's alright. As Darth, I'm not sure if you exile this estate. Probably depends on what you draw. There's a scenario where maybe you need to keep the estate around to feed to the bat. No, this is fine. You can exile the estate and just feed the warehouse to the bat. Or play it and feed the copper to the bat. That's also fine. Discard 2 silvers and copper. Yep. That was a good play. I also don't. I have yet to have any conception of what Darth is building towards in any of these games. Oh, that was a painful hex. Oh. Darth's vampire just trashed Heze's vampire. That hurts. Alright, Darth is getting governor. Better late than never. Darth, I think, just kind of added too many silvers in the mid game, and their deck never really got online. They definitely had the stronger starting hand with 5-2. I don't like how many sanctuaries either of them has. If you have a bunch of silvers, Governor can also be fine because you can remodel those silvers into more 5-cost cards, and that seems alright. Alright, as heze, I'm looking to get these warehouses back out of my deck ASAP. You can gain gold with Governor, draw it with Sanctuary, play your Mastermind, and then trash one of the warehouses, maybe even both to the bat. You could also remodel one warehouse to a Governor, draw that with Sanctuary, play that Governor, and then trash the other warehouse to bat. I like that line, probably even better. As heze, I think I buy a Mastermind here, because your one Mastermind is going into play this turn. So you want to get another Mastermind into play next turn, so you have a consistent kind of Mastermind each turn. Maybe like Mastermind Scheme. Another Vampire. I don't think I want another... Like, it kind of sucks that your Vampire got trashed, but we're at the point in the game where Vampire is not particularly important. Once you no longer want it for trashing, Vampire is kind of a slow gainer, because you just gain a card every other turn, and you're having to trash stuff, which can be hard to line up. And at some point, I think just buying the 5-cost cards directly can often be better for you. I think I would have just bought a Mastermind there. Darth trashes silver. I like that. Put 2 more 5-cost cards into your deck. There's nothing from heze I think I particularly want to upgrade. I think I would just decline to trash here. I don't like another Vampire. It is definitely possible to get too many Vampires, which adds a bunch of 5-cost cards to your deck, but like very slowly. I think 1 to 2 Vampires is usually the optimal number. Heze already going for provinces? That feels a bit early to me. I guess it's not a huge issue or anything. You can exile it with your Sanctuary. But their deck is just starting to get together. Surely you draw here. Oh, they're waiting for DarthSensitive. If I'm Darth, am I trashing anything? Probably not. I don't see anything I want to trash. The one thing I would really be loving to trash is if I had the Research in hand, which I think is still in their deck. I would love to upgrade my Research into almost any of the 5-cost cards, really, on my opponent's Governor play. Trash those warehouses. They're not helping you. They're not even playing the warehouses. That should be an indication that they're really bad for your deck. Warehouse just seems like a perfect target for using the Governor remodel effect to get like more Governors or more Masterminds off of them. Now they're trashing it with Research instead, which gets them nothing. I mean, trashing it seems fine, but why not trash it with Governor and gain yourself a new Governor? You draw that Governor, you can get whatever it was you were going to get anyway. I mean, the game still looks pretty decisively won for hezeheze. Darth's at a unpleasant negative 16 points at the moment. Not the strongest hex. Famine's usually pretty weak. Maybe they could have been keeping the warehouses around for orchard points. If they're doing that, you should be exiling the warehouses at the earliest opportunity, because you don't want the warehouses in your deck. I could at least see an argument of like you get the warehouses and you get rid of them again by putting them in your exile mat, and they're still technically worth 4 points for using the game. That could make it kind of justified. But there's no reason to keep 3 warehouses in your deck. That's for sure. It does seem weird that stables are at 10. I feel like stables should have been a very early gain here. You get tons of treasures, you want lots of draw, and even if you were considering drawing with Governor, I'd rather have like 3 stables and 3 Governors in my deck rather than 6 Governors, because that's worth more orchard points and draws my opponent fewer cards. Yeah, this looks like a heze win. This is the first time I think we've seen one of them finally mostly get their deck under control. In the previous games, neither of them seemed particularly committed to trashing very fast. Game 1, heze kind of started to and then decided, forget that, let's add a bunch of money. Now we're kind of seeing the benefit. You know, heze's draw on their deck every turn. Darth still has like 23 cards. The bat's probably no longer helpful. If there's nothing you want to feed to it, you could just consider exiling it. I would exile the bat here, I think. No, they're keeping it around. What are they going to trash to it? I don't think I would I don't think I'd trash a gold to get a vampire back. They could trash one bat to the other. That's all right. Remodel that warehouse into a governor. Trash bat into bat. Or actually, remodel warehouse into a stables. Sounds even better. They play the warehouse instead. Alright, I guess by province and heze might have a win next turn. They have 3 golds in their deck. Can they gain 1 more gold and then remodel 4 golds into provinces? I think that might be possible with an ideal draw. I mean, in any case, they could take like 2 or 3 provinces and the game's still won. Darth is still not drawing anything. None of them have any stables, but at least heze has some governors. This is kind of a good example of vampires being too slow. They're about to add 2 new 5-cost cards, but they very well might just never see them before the end of this game. Pride is... I don't know if you exile the curse or not. You could just trash the curse of the research, I guess. Exile the warehouses. The warehouses are not helping the deck. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to play warehouse to discard stuff and then just redraw that stuff with governor, because warehouse is just, it's increasing the number of stuff you have to draw. Okay, so we're definitely not seeing a 4 province turn this turn. They could do 2 here. I mean, not that they really need a double province. They could just keep building. Their opponent's in no position to take 4 provinces. I mean, this has been resignable for a few turns now for DarthSensitive. I'm not really sure what they're waiting for. Surely they know the game's over, right? This does kind of demonstrate the point I was making at the beginning about Governor and Bandit Fort, which is, you know, Heze's governors have added a bunch of golds to their deck and DarthSensitive's and silvers to DarthSensitive's deck. But then they trash their golds again, so now they have very few Bandit Fort points. Whereas DarthSensitive still has all the silvers in their deck from Heze's governors, and it's hurting their points a lot and junking up their deck. And it also kind of, I think, emphasizes why you don't want to add a bunch of extra silvers, as DarthSensitive did. Because you got more than enough silvers already. Part of the reason they never got the deck under control is because they're just so gosh darn many silvers. They got 6 in hand already, at least one in their discard pile. Those silvers are really getting in the way of the cards you want to play. I'm really not sure what DarthSensitive is expecting to happen at this point. Maybe they think it's like bad etiquette to resign or something. I'm not really sure. It's definitely not a position you can win from. I like the mint play at least. Finally getting most of the silvers out of their deck. It is definitely not bad etiquette to resign in a league match. I would much rather they have resigned and gotten onto the next game. I imagine Heze would prefer that as well. I mean, in general, you might take longer to resign, you know, because more is on the line, so you might want to play it a little bit longer. But in a position like this, where you just like cannot win, there's no point in playing it out. The points difference doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you win by. Yeah, I would definitely have resigned in DarthSensitive's position. A few turns back even. Can Heze take 2 provinces this turn? Maybe. I think they only have 1 gold left in their deck, so they'll need to gain 1 more gold and then draw back to it. But I think that's definitely possible. Please don't play warehouse before governor. Okay, good. This is a better order. Now if they play the warehouse, they can definitely find that gold. Alright, they got the win in hand. Wait, what? What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't prolong this game even more. You had 2 governors and 2 golds. Just remodel them into 2 provinces. Why are you gaining more golds? Did they not realize they have Envious? They can't actually even buy a province here because their golds are all worth 1 coin right now. Oh no. Well, we're in this game for another minute or 2. they they had been over aggressively remodeling goals into provinces early all game, and now the one turn where that actually wins the game immediately on the spot, they decide, nah, I'd rather not. I'd rather build now. Okay then. I mean, again, not that it's going to make a difference to the outcome. DarthSensitive cannot score 35 points here. But they're also apparently opposed to resigning. So it does mean we're in this game a little bit longer. Yeah, like I can't even comment on what DarthSensitive ought to do, because there's just like there's no sequence of plays that wins you the game. I guess you just start remodeling silvers into duchies or something. Or you just draw your opponent a million cards to help them find the win that they missed last turn. Yeah, they've now drawn Heze so many cards that Heze can see the win in their hand. That is, they spot it this turn. More silvers. And I guess you gotta start going for orchard points or something. Like you start buying stables and schemes and stuff. Because there's not really enough points left in the province and duchy piles to viably win. And the correct answer is just resign. It's clearly a lost position. I'm not sure why DarthSensitive is still playing it out. There's no point in keeping another bat around. You could trash one bat to the other bat. Alright, please see the win. Alright, I think they see the win now. Now DarthSensitive deliberates intensely on what to do. Alright, there we go. That's the game. Alright, is that 2-1 now for Heze, I believe? Going into game number 4. Alright, got a brief bathroom break. DarthSensitive does not enjoy landmarks. I think Orchard's a nice one. Not that either of them really made much use of it. Bandit Fort, it can be interesting to play around. I think landmarks are definitely less interesting than events, projects, or ways, for sure. Of the 4 landscape cards, the other 3 I think are preferable. What do we got here? This looks like a painful kingdom. So there's no action at all to be had, except in the knights pile. There is one knight, Dame Molly. Dame Molly, I believe, is the one that gives +2 action. So that might be a powerful knight here. We've got draw, not we've terminal draw with Ghost Ship, but you can't really draw with that because you don't have any action. You might play one Ghost Ship per turn for the attack. But you also have non-terminal draw with Advisor and Destrier. That could be relevant. So what happens here? I would think you probably want to open with Steward to get trashed. You want to get real thin. I have this dream of putting like Seaway on some Advisors to give the Advisors plus buy. And then get like a bunch of plus buy. And then if you have a Watchtower in hand, you could like buy a bunch of coppers and then immediately trash those coppers to Watchtower. So you're not actually adding coppers to your deck. But because you did that, it's reducing the cost of Destrier by 1 each time. And then all of a sudden Destrier is in like a very affordable range. So maybe that's the thing you could do, would be Advisor stack for plus buy into eventually Destrier stack. Oh, you should definitely keep your Necropolis around. I totally forgot. Necropolis is also a village. I would not trash my Necropolis here because action is in very short supply. But you have plenty of draw. There's good draw, there's good trashing, so you can definitely build an engine. But you're going to be limited on how many terminal action cards you can play. So I would want to keep my Necropolis around to facilitate playing more action cards. Like, I'd like to be able to get in like a Ghost Ship attack every turn. I'd like to get in like a Knight attack every turn. Actually, if I could get Sir Michael, maybe you don't need the Ghost Ship as much, as long as you have Sir Michael around, because Sir Michael is also a hand-size attack. So how do you open? I think double Steward. You're going to get a silver off of Lucky Coin anyway. So I think likely double Steward is a good opening to get you trashed pretty fast. And then you'll be getting more silvers than you need off of Lucky Coin. Steward Advisor, maybe? I'm less sold on Steward Advisor because I'd really not want my Advisor to find my Steward. Because I know that if my Advisor finds my Steward, my opponent's just going to discard it for me. So Advisor Steward would be riskier. Could maybe even be Watchtower Steward. Maybe with Watchtower Steward, you could like top deck a silver for next turn and hit 5 early. I think probably my answer is double Steward is my ideal opening. Lucky Coin will also help in making Destrier cheaper. That's relevant. Is Fool worth getting? Probably not that much. If they play ideally, they'll both be getting in hand-size attacks every turn with Ghost Ship or Legionary. So you're not going to have like extra junk in your hand to discard for Lost in the Woods. So I think Fool's probably pretty skippable here. I mean, you could maybe get it early in the opening for the boons and then trash it later. But I don't think Fool's a high priority. I like Steward from DarthSensitive. I also like Steward from Heze. I would love to get access to Fortune here. Big engine with Fortune as part of its payload could score tons of points, and Fortune's plus buy as well. So Fortune seems like an amazing card for this deck. Plus Fortune is immune to night attacks. The problem is, do you play with Gladiator? I would really like my opponent to play with Gladiator so it uncovers Fortune for me. But I'm not sure Gladiator is itself worth it because terminal space is very limited. And Gladiator is like a terminal silver that sometimes is a gold. But I think I might value the action too much to justify Gladiator over silver. And then, uncovering Fortune is nice, but you're uncovering it for your opponent as well as yourself. So that's not necessarily a good reason to do it. So I think in Darth's position, you play the Necropolis, draw with one Steward, and then trash with the other. Your Hovel and then whatever else you draw. I don't think I want to trash my Necropolis here. Is Sir Michael better than Ghost Ship? The Ghost Ship attack, comparing the discard 2 cards to top deck 2 cards, definitely top deck 2 cards is the more painful attack, no question. Because if you're discarding 2 cards, you discard like your 2 junk or whatever. If you top deck 2 junk, you haven't really avoided the problem, you just pushed it back till the next turn. That being said, I think I would take Sir Michael, because it has the additional attack of trashing their stuff, and the terminal draw of Ghost Ship is not super likely to be helpful because you're likely to be drawing stuff dead. I think Ghost Ship is like defensible and all. I think I would take Sir Michael though. It's definitely better than Legionary. First 5 could even be like Seaway Advisor if you wanted to go into that early. I did discuss the like Seaway Advisor Watchtower Destrier combo. Ooh. I really, really, really just like the way DarthSensitive did this, though. Playing Steward for +2 coins twice seems like among the worst options. Like, if you wanted to hit 5, you could have at least drawn on the Steward. Because, I mean, you're going to draw at least like a copper or something, and you'll still hit 5. But at least then you're farther along through your deck, so whatever 5-cost card you buy, you see it sooner. So if for some reason you got the idea, I want to buy a 5-cost card now, +2 cards of Steward is just clearly better than +2 coins of Steward, because you'll hit 5 anyway, and you'll be closer to playing that 5, rather than having another junk hand on top of your deck. But definitely, the reason you get Steward is to trash. I complimented them on the Steward opening because Steward's good for trashing. Instead of using it to trash, they used it as like a bad silver. What about Heze? Well, I guess we're about to find out what Heze does with their Steward. They did get a lucky draw. They found the Steward and Advisor in the same hand, so they'll draw their junk with Advisor and they can trash it with Steward. I think for Darth, this is probably an Advisor. They don't have the more silvers. I don't like that. Why do you need more silvers? You're gonna have more silvers than you need with Lucky Coin around. All right, so Heze should trash the Hovel and the Copper with their Steward. Could consider trashing Hovel, Lucky Coin. I think I'm fine with Lucky Coin adding some silvers to my deck because they'll be like nice targets for the knights to trash because DarthSensitive's already got one knight. Maybe you trash Hovel Copper by Advisor, Hovel Copper by second Steward. Oh, they already have a second Steward. They don't need a third Steward. Alright, I like that they trashed. I think that was a pretty good play. So now Darth should trash 2 coppers. Maybe buy a Watchtower. Trash the coppers, Darth. Yeah, there we go. I was very worried there, because these two have both under-prioritized trashing a lot, Darth in particular. I was quite concerned they might not trash the coppers. They made the right play in the end. Alright, Heze Seawaying Advisor, I like that. Last thing they'll need for the deck then is a Watchtower, and then they can get Destrier super cheap. So Sir Michael trashes Lucky Coin. I'm not sure if that hurts or not. Probably hurts a little bit. So Darth is choosing what to discard. I definitely discard the Advisor. I think good rule of thumb for like 90% of the time when you're choosing what to discard to your opponent's Advisor is just discard their draw cards. If you it was not that much. Lucky Coin is not particularly good. I think they're probably under the impression that like silvers is like an OP card because they've been buying tons of silvers in most of these kingdoms and it's mostly been hurting them. I lean towards thinking having Lucky Coin in your deck is marginally better than not having it, but it's not like it's a super key card or anything. It's not like trashing your opponent's goat or something. You can totally get by without it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with DarthSensitive here. I'm disagree with Heze as well. I don't know why they think that's super important. Like, although I did decide against it, I think it was very much worth contemplating trashing it yourself on the previous turn. I would not be nearly as attached to a copper that gives me silvers as they seem to be. So we're waiting for Heze. They've got 2 coins. They should just end their turn. There's nothing to do here. You could actually, no, you should buy Pursue, I guess. So you buy Pursue. What do you name? What's on top? Name Advisor, I guess. I think they have another advisor in there. Maybe they don't. I don't like naming silver. You don't want silver on top of your deck. You want to get around to finding your advisors and stewards faster. Oh, naming steward was probably the best. I forgot there was another steward in there. So Darth should trash 2 more coppers. Probably buy an advisor now. Darth did end up doing the right thing. So Heze again has the same situation. Trash 2 coppers, probably just buy advisor. Could buy a watchtower. Could buy like scouting party watchtower. Not scouting party, pursue watchtower. Definitely starts with trashing 2 coppers though. For DarthSensitive, I think I would just play Steward and trash Hovel and copper. I mean, you could play Fool and pray that you get Field's Gift, the one that gives plus action, so you can still play your Steward. But there's only like a 1/4 chance that you draw that boon, since you see 3 of the 12 boons. And I would not take the risk of not getting to trash my Steward. I think you just trash Hovel Copper in turn. Legionary, why would you ever buy a Legionary? So, do they misclick? Maybe they meant to click on Sir Martin or something? Maybe they meant to click on Destrier? Why would you want to... You don't even have gold. Legionary is just like a worse attack than Ghost Ship. Like, they both cost 5, but one of them is stronger because it's a top deck attack instead of a discard attack. B, you don't even get the attack because you don't have a gold yet. C, you don't need the money. D, it doesn't draw cards, which, I mean, you're still not drawing your deck yet. I don't like that. And that also means they didn't trash, did they? Yeah, they passed up on trashing. I really hate that buy. I think they're in a fine spot until that. Why would you want Legionary? Why? Buying silver? Ew. Yeah, so I guess between that choice and their earlier Lucky Coin comments, I think they clearly overvalue the strength of silver by a lot. I don't think you want that many. Like, the reason you want silvers is just because it's something for your opponent's knights to trash, not because like you yourself want the silvers that much. The thing I'd be trying to work up towards is getting a deck that can buy a lot of Destriers real fast. And I think that involves advisors and a watchtower. You could trash Lucky Coin and Overgrown Estate with Steward, or you could play Sir Michael and buy Watchtower. Both of those seem alright to me. I guess the Sir Michael attack's strong enough you don't want to pass it up. But I'd really like to trash that Overgrown Estate. Discard all of that. Maybe leave the Necropolis on top. I don't know how likely you are to line it up with an action. Don't leave the silvers on top. What? DarthSensitive, I think, is a little over-attached to silvers. Trash the Legionary. Get rid of it. It's not helping your deck. Just trash, not the steward. No, the steward actually has value for you. Steward can trash things. Watchtower. More silvers. I really dislike how many silvers DarthSensitive has. You want a deck that can draw the whole deck every turn. There's strong attacks here. You want to be able to make sure that your deck can reliably draw through to your own attacks, despite getting hit with, like, say, a top deck attack by your opponent's ghost ship. And that requires having a lot of draw and not a whole lot of stop cards. DarthSensitive just keeps adding silvers. More and more cards to get in the way, and not a whole lot of draw to get through it all. I mean, to some degree, Heze's doing that as well. We saw them forego trash into buy a Legionary, which is pretty bad. Really bad. Yay. Alright, Heze's deck is at least closer to clean. They're drawing most of their cards. Discard the advisor. Just always discard draw cards. They couldn't even play the Legionary anyway, because they didn't have enough plus action. Okay, so now as Heze, you trash 2 coppers. Why are you trash your cards? You gotta trash your cards. Alright, so now I'd be looking to get a few Destriers. So what do you buy first? Gold? Not... I don't know why they think this Legionary thing is a real thing. It's definitely not a thing. They could have bought so many Destriers there. If they bought, like, I don't know, Watchtower Advisor... Trash your cards. This is important. Just don't keep treasures in your deck. Get rid of them. Alright. I like that. They're getting a draw card. That's good. DarthSensitive really needs to get Seaway onto their advisors, because that'll be how they get Destriers. I would consider Seawaying advisor here. Destrier is not a bad buy, though. What'd be really nice for DarthSensitive is they could gain 2 cards. They could Seaway Destrier, because if Destrier costs 4 less at the time, it will be a candidate for Seaway. That wasn't on an option last turn, but if they had like Lucky Coin or something as well, it could have been. Trash the coppers. Please don't play Legionary. Please don't. I knew it. If you just get rid of the coppers early, every other turn is going to go smoothly. If you keep taking these like little short-term, I'm going to not trash my coppers so I can play a bad gold, your deck's never going to get clean. Get rid of the coppers. I think Heze has taken the lead, perhaps quite largely because DarthSensitive trashed their Lucky Coin. Because their deck is clean, I think, because they've just been forced to not take too many treasures because DarthSensitive got rid of their treasure gaining card. Whereas DarthSensitive has just been loading up on the silvers the whole time and now has no semblance of deck control. Why are you buying another steward? You don't have enough actions to play all that stuff. You only have one. You have already a steward and a legionary in your deck, and you have 1 source of plus action, which is Necropolis. So the most you can play is 2 total action cards, which you have. There's no point in adding a 3rd terminal action. You could add Watchtower, Watchtower would be great because you could buy coppers, trash coppers, and reduce Destriers costs that way. I think Advisor Watchtower Destrier would be a perfectly fine buy. All right, trash the silver. Good. It does look like hezeheze is very in the lead here. In fact, at this point, if I were hezeheze, I think I would probably skip the knights entirely, because my opponent's deck is just full of silvers, which are mostly junk cards for them, and I wouldn't particularly want my knight to trash their silvers. I'd rather them have the silvers. There's not a whole lot of cards of value in DarthSensitive's deck that you could hit with the knights, and even if you did hit them, they might, for example, reveal Destrier and silver, and there's trash silver anyway. So I think if I'm hezeheze, I'd probably just continue onward with Legionary, I guess, is my terminal. I mean, Legionary is clearly worse than Ghost Ship, but now that you got it, I guess you might as well stick with it. Interestingly, though, because Sir Martin's on top, you could Seaway the Knights pile. You could Seaway Knights, gain Sir Martin, and then all of your Knights now have plus buy. But Sir Martin's the only one that works with, because Sir Martin's the only one that costs 4, and Seaway only works on $4 cards. Alright. It truly pains me to see them with still 4 coppers left in the deck at this point in the game. Please trash those. Advisor Destrier. You could pursue now to top deck the Advisor. So you just pursue and name Advisor. That'd be good. You want your draw cards on top. Pursue. I guess you could buy 2 coppers and 3 Destriers. That would also be okay. Because 3 Destriers is enough to draw 2. Yeah, I think pursue, name Advisor, buy 2 coppers and 3 Destriers sounds good. Because 2 more coppers is 2 more stop cards, but 3 more Destriers is 3 more draw. So the Destriers would cover the amount of junk that the coppers add to you. And then you can just trash the coppers again with Steward when it becomes an issue. I guess DarthSensitive should take the last Advisor because they can't afford Destrier. Not really sure. It kind of seems lost. Their hand's just full of silvers. Silvers don't do anything. Yeah, I think the lesson for this game is just silver is not a good card. Like, there's so many discard attacks. You have Ghost Ship, Sir Michael, Legionary floating around. You're pretty much guaranteed to have a 3-card hand at the start of your hand. If all you attempt to do is flood your deck with silvers, there's no way for a 3-card hand of silvers to hit 8. You're just guaranteeing you never buy province. If, like, imagine you could add, like, infinite silvers to your deck. Someone offered you, take infinite silvers for free. You turn that down because that guarantees you a $6 hand every turn. You'll never, ever, ever afford province. What you want is a deck that has a lot of draw, like Heze's deck now has 7 Advisors and 3 Destriers. A few payload cards that you then draw to, and then gets in an attack or 2 every single turn reliably. Darth has an attack in the form of Sir Michael, but they're not playing it, most of their turns because they have 0 deck control. That card is, buried under a pile of silvers. With, little ability to find it. So Heze should now trash 2 coppers with Steward. You could add another gold. Yeah, I would definitely trash the coppers because you can. I mean, you'll probably want to buy some coppers back anyway to reduce Destrior's cost. You know, this could be like gold, a few copper. Oh, they took the money. I don't like that at all. I don't like that one bit. You need to keep like the only way Heze loses this is if their deck stops doing what it's currently doing. They're drawing their deck consistently. They're attacking them every turn. If Darth gets hit by a Legionary attack every turn, which I mean could have been Ghost Ship, which would be even better, but Legionary is good enough. If they get hit by a discard attack every turn, Darth's deck just cannot province. And the only way that fails to happen is if Heze keeps those coppers around, keeps adding treasures like gold, and then eventually gets to a point where they're not reliably drawing their deck anymore. So above all else, if I'm Heze, I'm not looking to add tons of money real fast. I mean, like, money's all right. If I were behind, maybe I'd be focusing on pay a little bit more. But you've kind of got them in a vice grip now. Just don't let up on it. Trash the coppers, get the last few draw cards, and then Darth's deck is just dead forever. They're still not trashing the coppers. I mean, see, this is already a good demonstration. I mean, they kind of have to play the Legionary because, you know, getting in that attack is pretty important. But they're already not reliably drawing their deck anymore. They failed to find the Necropolis, so they couldn't play their Steward this turn. And that's because they filled the deck too full of payload. They added more golds and not enough draw cards to cover it. This should just be Destrior's. Not Province, Destrior. Stop buying provinces. Stop it. Stop doing that. You're destroying your own deck. Province is a bad card. Province gets in the way. Don't take provinces ever. Yeah. Yeah, Heze's trying to give Darth way back in this, and it's a shame to see. I mean, it's still probably one. Darth's deck is still very, very far from doing anything because it's full of silvers. I think this is game 4 of the 6-game match. It's 2-1 in Heze's favor right now. Yeah. There's absolutely no reason to be letting the foot off the pedal right now, it says. I don't know why would they buy provinces? Piles aren't low. Darth's not ahead in points. That didn't make any sense to me. Just like trash 2 coppers with your Steward, buy some more Destriors, and then you're kind of guaranteed to win. Now they start greening, but like Heze's deck is a little bit less bad than Darth's is, so I think Heze will still win this exchange. As Darth, I could consider denying Necropolis here instead of Advisor, maybe. I mean, generally you deny draw cards, but Heze has now hurt their deck so much that they can't reliably draw through it anymore, as we saw like the last few turns. And so you can just consistently deny Necropolis in hopes that they just never find it again. And they're stuck playing 1 action per turn, which means they're not going to be able to both attack you and trash their coppers. Not that they are trashing their coppers, but they could be trashing their coppers. Instead, they keep playing their Steward as like a bad silver. Destrior. Good. Yeah, this looks pretty solidly over. Trash the steward. I mean, Heze's deck didn't even need 2 stewards in the first place. I'm not sure why they added the second steward when they already had 2 terminals. That steward has been a junk card for a while now. Unfortunately, DarthSensitive, as we saw in the Governor game, is not one to throw in the towel, even when it is like mathematically impossible for them to win. So my guess is we play on until Heze buys the last 3 provinces, which will probably happen 2 turns from now. They can get at least 1 province here. Well, actually, I was hoping Darth would buy a province, but they probably won't be able to without Legionary Tech. Well, as I say that, Heze can't draw their deck, so they can't find the Legionary reliably. They might find it here. If they find Legionary and Steward with the same advisor play, Darth can't deny both. Nope, they're both in the bottom. So they don't get in the Legionary attack. It was probably good, because it means maybe Darth buys in a province and the game ends a little faster. So for Heze, this is like province and some Destriers. You could do province Destrier Pursue to top deck Destrier. You could do province Copper Destrier. Or just, but why? Now they decide to build? I don't. If you judged that you didn't have enough draw in your deck, which they should have judged a few turns back, the correct answer is to build more before taking provinces. It's always a really, really bad sign if you build a bit, start buying provinces, and then go back to building. That's good evidence that your choice to buy provinces was really premature. You should build until you're ready to green reliably and then start greening. Because if you have the choice between like buy provinces now, Destriers later, and Destriers now, provinces later, the Destriers now is definitely better. Because the Destriers are doing something for you every single turn they're in your deck. They're helping you draw better, you're getting in more attacks, you're getting more trash, you're getting more money. So the sooner you get the Destriers, the more they pay off. Whereas provinces are hurting you every turn they're in your deck. Because they're junk cards that get in the way of you finding your good cards. So you should be building until you're ready to start provincing, and then province consistently. You don't buy some provinces, go back to building, go back to buying provinces. That suggests a fault in your play order. Now the correct thing for Heze to do here was to do that Destrier thing sooner. You don't buy the provinces, get trashed earlier, make sure you can play your Legionary attack every turn, then buy provinces, like 4 or 5 turns after when they were buying them probably. But if they're already committed to provinces, I also don't understand why they're now going back to buying more draw cards. Confuses me. But with one more province, I think Darth is kind of definitely out of the game now. Heze will hit 8 next turn, almost certainly. Province Pursue, name Destrier. Could be Province Pursue and name Advisor. Alright, I like that. They top deck 3 Destriers and discarded a copper. Yeah, so this one's definitely a win for Heze. Darth never managed to climb out of the sea of silvers they were drowning in. If they're willing to buy the last province and end the game that way, I'm not sure why they're unwilling to click the resign button. It seems kind of an inconsistent philosophy towards the game. All right, going into game 5. What do we have here? So, draw, encampment, +2 cards. Action, encampment or squire, trashing. Miser can set aside your coppers, displace can get rid of anything. A nice little interaction here that will unfortunately be kind of unsustainable is while there are encampments still in the pile, Overlord is going to be a really good card because Overlord can play encampment from its pile. Now, while encampment is +2 card and +2 action, and only costs 2 coins, you can't just buy encampments frivolously early on, because what will end up happening is if you don't already have a gold or plunder in your hand, then the encampment goes right back to the pile. So it's very short-lived. So you can't really sustainably add encampments to your deck until you have like a number of golds or plunders, so that you can reliably line up the encampments and the plunders. But what happens if you play Overlord and you play the encampment straight from the supply is encampment doesn't send the Overlord back to the supply. It tries to send itself back to the supply at the end of playing it, but it's already in the supply rather than being in play, so that can't happen. So if you play Overlord as an encampment, you get the +2 card +2 action effect, and you don't have to send anything back. So as long as encampment's around, Overlord would be a nice little Lost City effect. Now the problem is, of course, eventually the encampments will run out, and then the Overlord will start being a bit weaker. Display seems like probably the key card here. Best way to get rid of stuff. 5-2 would be really nice. Although it looks like neither of them has that. I would love to like displace my coppers into encampments and stuff like that. Rats is interesting. If you trash your coppers in estates with rats, you haven't directly gotten your deck any thinner because rats replaces other junk cards like coppers and estates with more rats, which themselves kind of junk cards because you can't really use them for anything but doing that. The benefit of rats, of course, is unlike coppers and estates, rats cost 4. So, for example, if you wanted to like displace your cards into other cards, you can turn them into rats first, and now you can displace rats into gold, whereas you can only like displace copper into a 2-cost card. I don't think I care about that enough to open with rats, though. There's plenty of good cards costing 2. Like I would happily displace my coppers straight into encampments while encampments are around, and then maybe I can add rats later when encampments run out, because I've run out of good $2 cards to gain, and then I'd rather be displacing them into like golds or plunders or something. But I feel like the early rats wasn't really necessary. I think I would probably just open Overlord, with the intention of using Overlord as displace immediately. Or, in fact, you could even open Scouting Party Overlord to discard 3 cards, and then you could see your Overlord as early as turn 2. I think that's probably my ideal opening, is Scouting Party Overlord. You'll be in debt for a while, but that doesn't matter. There's not a whole lot of cards you want to buy. You just want to play Displace a bunch and get thin real early. Scouting Party Overlord guarantees you either see your Overlord turn 2, which is phenomenal, or turn 3, which is still quite good. What does Darth do? Darth buys double Squire. I'm not going to pretend like I can explain that one. Why does anyone want Squire here? Squire is... You don't need the village effects. There's no terminal action cards you got in your deck. I hope... Oh no, they're probably still laboring under this misconception that like having lots of silvers in your deck is a good thing. And their plan is just to play Squires and fill the deck with silvers and have the same problem as last game. We're about to find out. Yeah, they're doing it. No, well, 4-1, I guess. Please buy Displace. Relic's not terrible. I mean, you want a Relic eventually because the attack is nice. That hurts. But more than anything, you want to get trashed fast. My number one priority above anything else is just playing Displace frequently so I can get all the bad cards out of my deck. And neither of them seems to care about that in the slightest. Buy an Overlord. Overlord can play Displace. You could already... No, don't trigger that shuffle. You could already be displacing those rats into valuable cards. Now you're at least 2 turns away from doing that because you've got 9 junk cards on top of your deck. Why do they want rats if they don't want Displace? The only conceivable reason you could want rats in this kingdom is to displace them. I understand what Darth's doing. Like, it's bad, but I get it. They're just going to flood their deck with silvers. And it'll work like a little less badly than last time because at least there's no discard attack floating around. I don't understand what Heze's doing. Why are they filling the deck with rats if not to displace them? If to displace them, where's the displace at? I'm confused about their strategy. Surely you buy Overlord now. Even Displace now is fine. Either way. You definitely don't buy Scouting Party because that triggers a shuffle. All right, Displace. There we go. That's the first goodbye of this game. All of a sudden, it's not looking so terrible for Darth. Like, just adding a bunch of silvers to your deck should lose badly to a deck that just gets control of itself quick. But Heze has spent like 6 turns adding more junk to their deck, and only now added their very first Trasher, which, you know, Displace is good, but it only trashes 1 card at a time. So they're still very, very, very far from getting clean. And if you don't get clean, what you're ultimately kind of doing is just playing money, but slower. And, God, that's so many squires. So many squires. Why do you... Yikes. Point being is, like, DarthSensitive is playing like a very basic money deck. And it should lose to the engine, but if the engine's still mired in junk, it's not. And so either your engine takes forever to get off the ground because you didn't bother trashing quickly, or you end up having to play money, but then you're playing from a deficit because you spend a bunch of time doing this rat stuff. Like, they've already got 5 rats in the deck and they've trashed none of them. That seems very bad to me. And they're adding more silvers too. Yeah, this kind of like halfway building stuff seems real bad. You're kind of getting the worst of both worlds. You're doing something that gets money into your deck slower if you're taking this detour into rats. So it's not going to play money as fast as the just like bum rush silvers thing. But you're also taking too long to trash, so you're not ever going to have a real productive engine. I don't like Heze's deck. Fool! No! Why would you buy a Fool's Gold? It's basically adding a copper to your deck. If you're buying 1,000,001 squires, surely the reason is just because you're flooding your deck with silvers. And if you're flooding your deck with silvers, what are the odds you line up multiple Fool's Golds in the same hand? Very slim. Well, the first Fool's Gold is awful. Right, there's one, it's a copper. And the second Fool's Gold onward, on a given turn, is good. But if you just sprinkle a few fool's golds in a deck, again, absolutely full of silvers, then you're not going to line them up reliably, and then there's going to be extra coppers in your deck, which you've already got 7 coppers and like a million squires, so even more coppers. I would just buy encampment there. Maybe even Overlord. Actually, Overlord might be better than encampment. Yeah, I mean, so at this point, Darth's kind of committed. Now the best play, I guess, is just to spam more silvers. Just take a silver, buy a displace. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, they decided they're playing Fool's Gold after all. And somehow have managed to line them up in a deck with like 25 cards in it. That's unfortunate, because this hand's probably going to give them the misconception that Fool's Gold is a good idea. When in fact they just kind of got pretty lucky there. Ay, ay, ay. Rogue? Oh, wait. They trashed a Squire for some reason instead of a copper. And if you trash a Squire, you get an attack card. Which Rogue... Why would you even take Rogue over Relic? I don't even... Like, what cards of value are in DarthSensitive's deck that you think you're going to take for them? You're just going to take a bunch of silvers. Very, very slowly. I don't like the Rogue one bit. I'd buy Displacer and Overlord here. I think the only 2 cards worth having. They bought an encampment for $5. Curious. Overlord can play encampment. I am kind of bewildered by both of these decks, to be honest. I have no idea what they're doing. Darth's just going to take more Fool's Golds. Lauren can't... I am so lost. Someone explain, please. I have no idea what they're doing. Like, if you want Fool's Gold, you usually just want Fool's Gold. You want to, like, get the other stuff out of the way and have a deck that's kind of dense with Fool's Gold, so you line them up reliably. Darth has decided to first fill a deck with Squires, then with Silvers, then with Fool's Golds, and I don't think they can decide what they want to do. It's definitely not a good combination. Heze has decided to fill the deck with Rats, though, which kind of seems even worse. So, who knows? Neither of them has ever bought an Overlord. There's only 2 displaces taken. Ay, ay, ay. I can't even attempt to guess what they're going to buy. At this point, I could be anything. Going to go into Misers now? Gold? Wow. Why are they buying gold? I would have expected like 3 Fool's Golds or like an encampment or... So they first bought all the Squires, then took all the Silvers, then they took some Fool's Golds, and now they're deciding, actually, 4th idea, I'm going to play with encampment and gold. None of these strategies jive with each other at all. Right? Encampment plus gold assumes you're reliably lining up encampment and gold, which doesn't work if it's buried in Squires, Coppers, Silvers, and Fool's Golds. Fool's Golds only work if you line them up with their Fool's Golds, which doesn't work if they're buried in encampments, golds, Squires, Silvers, etc. It kind of feels like Darth had like amnesia and like forgot what they were doing on previous turns each turn. And they're like, I don't know if I'm playing a fool's gold deck or a silver deck or whatever, so maybe fool's gold this time. And then next turn rolls around, they're like, I forgot what I was doing. Maybe this time I'll do silver. This time I'll do gold. Yeah, Overlord seems like a very strong card here. I mentioned in the short term it can play Encampment, which is phenomenal because you don't lose it. You can play Displace, which is even better because you get your deck thin real fast. I want an Overlord turn 1. We're now on turn 11 and none have been touched. And here we have a hand with a single fool's gold in it. Who could have seen this coming? Why buy Encampment if you're not going to play it? Why save Encampment if you're not going to add golds? Why gain Harem ever? I have many questions and none are being answered. So Lady's Kingdom should have gone. Would be, you want to get trashed fast because there's value in being thin, but it's hard to do. You get Overlord ASAP, and you can start playing displaces immediately. You displace stuff into encampments. You play those encampments if need be to draw through your deck quickly, and you get rid of all the coppers and estates real fast. And then eventually you're going to have a deck that's got some like encampments and plunders and displaces in it, probably like a relic, or more likely encampments, plunders, and Overlords being played as displaces. And then you're not going to build a huge engine or anything, but you're going to start greening and be scoring some extra points off of the plunders. And that's where the deck should be at this point. But it's not... Where did this miser come from? Did I miss when... Why is there a miser in their deck? Turn 8, they gain... So... To add to the strategies like Fool's Gold and Displace Rats and Encampment Plunder, and the Squires, things that don't work well if you do them half-heartedly, put Miser on that list. What's the value in having like a Miser in your deck starting turn 8? Miser is not a very strong card in general, but if you want to play it, you want to get it early-ish, get the coppers down fast, so you get the coppers out of the way fast, and your Misers are strong fast. One Miser added turn 8 to a deck of 30 cards in it is never going to come close to getting those coppers out of your deck. It's likely going to be in hands with no coppers at all, especially because you're trashing a bunch of them with rats. And it's certainly never going to be very strong. I don't understand why you'd add a single miser halfway into the game. Plunder is a good card. Don't hate the plunder buy. What does Heze do here? Is it even worth setting aside the copper at this point? You could just like play the Squire, buy a plunder. Yeah, I guess you could play Squire, play Miser, buy Overlord. They trashed this. Okay. I would have just not played the rats in the first place, I think. Confusion. Much confusion. Alright, what's this? Plunder seems nice, Displace seems nice. I really don't know. Plunder Scouting Party? This seems fine. Leave the Fool's Gold on top, I guess. Yep, they did. Actually, maybe that wasn't the best play. I just realized piles are pretty low. And Heze has a points lead. Heze could be considering just like emptying Fool's Gold and Plunder real fast. Do they have plus buy coming up? I'm not sure how many squires are in Heze's deck. They should probably just buy Province here. But I would very much watch out for Heze sneaking in a little pile out. Okay, discard one displace, I think, because they are highly unlikely to find an action with it to play it. Yeah, like this. I guess you buy Plunder. Now there's a very real threat of... they had to send an encampment back. That's a little sad. I was going to say there's a very real threat of piling out. But that's less true if they put an encampment back in the pile. Kind of forgot they did that. Oh, looks like they got a win. So you play Squire for +2 buy. You displace the rats in an encampment. You buy 3 Fool's Golds. And that should get them back to 15 points. Because they have a bunch of rats in their deck. Take the encampment. You've got the win in hand. Encampment, triple Fool's Gold. Alright, they see it now. Alright, yeah! They found it. Okay. Alright, yeah, so 4-1 after all. DarthSensitive's deck had 6 squires, but only ever got 4 silvers off of them. 5 Fool's Golds, despite them not being particularly contested until very late in the game. A single encampment and a few plunders. Kind of do a little bit of everything in a kingdom where you want to do one specific thing. Alright, this looks really money-ish. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. I was going to say there's no draw, but there is draw in the form of pathfinding. So you could build a deck that's got Ironmongers with pathfinding on them and expand as a payload. I think for sure you open Ironmonger Scrap, no question. Scrap for trashing, Ironmonger because it's nice, reliable, and versatile. Ironmonger Scrap seems like the clear opening to me. And then your options are kind of go straight into money with just like some hordes and then buy provinces early. Or you build up to a big pathfinding Ironmonger thing. I think I do the pathfinding Ironmonger thing. You could have like pathfinding on Ironmonger, trash your coppers early, maybe even like Poorhouse as payload, pawn for plus buy, or squire for plus buy. That could be an interesting deck. Could also just be Pathfind Ironmonger, then like Horde plus Expand as your payload. That also works. But I think it's probably worth building. I think Pathfind and Ironmonger is enough to make me want to build. I think the only 2 openings I'd even contemplate are Scrap Ironmonger and Double Scrap. And Scrap Ironmonger just sounds better. DarthSensitive buys a pawn. Why do they want a pawn? I don't know. What is a pawn doing for you? I can't even attempt to explain why you'd want to add a pawn to your deck right now. Yes, that is correct. the pawn, like, if you had 5-2, I guess I'd rather add a pawn than nothing. Because at some point, it can be turned into plus buy. But in the short term, you're just playing it for like plus card, plus action, which is entirely neutral. I got nothing. Alright, Heather takes a scrap. I like that. DarthSensitive takes an Ironmonger. I like that. Alright, now we're making better decisions. Another Ironmonger. Okay. Let's keep it up. Now we're getting on the right track. Another Ironmonger. Okay, this is going well now. We're just going to forget about that turn 1 pawn buy and focus on the rest of this game. Which I think has so far been largely accurate. Why did they... Oh, no. And the moment I say that, why would you top deck a copper? Copper is a bad card. You don't want to see your copper. If you discard the copper and then draw with scrap, you'll have 4 cards left, which is phenomenal. Because you've already seen the 2 cards that matter most in your deck. this Ironmonger and Scrap. You've got like one Ironmonger down there. It would be wonderful to trigger a shuffle in which your Ironmonger and Scrap are going right back into the shuffle. And so I would very much like to discard that copper and get around to the rest of my cards faster. They take a silver. I hate that. I don't want silvers in this deck. You can add maybe one silver very late after you've got thin to help you hit like a key price point, like Horde or something. Seems way too early for silver. I just want more Ironmongers and probably a second Scrap. Alright, so you play pawn for plus card for sure. I guess you can take plus coin. It probably doesn't matter because you should just buy another Ironmonger. Could be a Scrap. I think I prefer Ironmonger. Those are really the only two options. Wait, DarthSensitive doesn't even have a Scrap yet. Okay, change of plans, just buy Scrap. They bought a silver. Well, how do you want? If you get the Scrap, you can get the junk out of your deck. Well, if you wanted silver, it could gain you silvers. You could get like 3 silvers off of the 3 estates. Not that you do want silvers, but in a world where you did, you'd get all the silvers that you needed and have less junk. They bought ignoring Ironmonger, ignoring Scrap. If for some reason I had 5 coins and was just dead set on buying silver, there's also Royal Seal in the Kingdom, which is just silver but strictly better in every way, because it's a silver that gives you the option to top deck things. And it's 5 coins, which makes it a better target for Scrap late in the game. I don't know what conceivable argument could you make for taking silver over Royal Seal, where Royal Seal is just like silver that gives you an extra option to do something that if you don't want it, you can just turn it down. Now, not that Royal Seal is a good card, not that I want Royal Seal, but if for some reason I was compelled to buy a silver and had 5 coins, it's just clearly strictly better. Alright. Heze buys another Ironmonger. I like that. Darth did buy an Ironmonger the next turn. I like that. I like that they're going heavy for Ironmongers. That's a good card here. That being said, Darth needs a Scrap in their deck like yesterday. I'm not really sure how they plan to... What's their endgame here? Just don't ever trash anything? Ay. I think I would just buy Scrap here. I mean, like, you desperately need it. The only options I think are Scrap, Ironmonger, or I guess you could buy Horde and just go straight for the big money thing. I don't like that much. Feels a bit late to be doing it, but I mean, I guess it's not that bad. What's Heze take here? Probably just another Ironmonger. I would just happily take all the Ironmongers. And Inn, I don't like the Inn. What's Inn doing for you? Inn has the same problem Warehouse does. And we saw Heze liked Warehouse way too much in the Governor game. It's plus 2 cards, discard 2 cards, which makes your hand size smaller. Right? If you have a hand that has Inn and 4 other cards, you start out at 5 cards, you play the Inn, your hand's now down to 4. You draw 2 cards, you're up to 6. You discard 2 cards again, you're down to 4. Every Inn you play reduces your hand size. It's not like they need the plus action or anything. So it's not like they wanted the village effect. They got a card that hand size attacks themselves for 5. Not a big fan of that at all. Generally, I think Inn's a very, very weak card. It's like a really bad village, and the main reason you buy it is if, in certain situations, the on-gain effect is really important. Like, you need to top deck some important stuff to make sure your next turn doesn't dud. And it's not because you want Inn in your deck, it's because you really want that effect. All right, so Heze can buy Pathfinding here, right? They just discard scrap copper, put Pathfinding on Ironmonger, and then they're in business. All right, good. They're doing the right thing. Nice. So now as Heze, I'm looking to buy the last two Ironmongers, which Darth might take one here, but you can definitely get the other one. If Darth doesn't take one, they can plausibly buy both, because they can get plus buy off of scrap. So with a good draw of this Ironmonger, if they can hit 8 and 2 buys, they can take the last two. What does Darth buy here? Probably just like Duchy Estate, take 2 golds. I don't think this Horde thing can win to the Ironmonger deck. Well, apparently they bought Horde with no intent to use it. So Horde is just like a fancy silver at this point. Yeah, this is lost. I don't see a way back in for Darth. Heze will probably scrap the estate. You could consider scrapping the inn. Not like you need the inn or anything. But they'll definitely, I hope, get the last Ironmonger. I feel like they will. And then, what do you want to add next? I think Heze's deck would benefit from a Horde and an Expand in some order. Plus buy here for sure. And plus card. Looks like that's what they chose. I think that's the right choice. Ironmonger and Royal Seal. You just need slightly more money in your deck, I think, because you want to be hitting like 6 or 7 next turn. You definitely want the Ironmonger, and there's really nothing I want all that much, costing 5 or less. And Royal Seal seems like the least bad thing if I'm going to buy something anyway. So I guess you buy Royal Seal here. I don't like leaving that Ironmonger on the table. Your deck benefits a lot from having those because they're like little laboratories. I also don't understand why they want the Squire. So now what's Darth do? I guess probably draw with one of these pawns and then take plus buy and buy the last Ironmonger and something else. Alright, they're doing that so far. Discard the copper. Probably plus coin plus buy, plus card plus buy. You could buy Ironmonger scrap. So they're taking Pathfinding as well. Okay. So the Horde is making no sense to me at this point. The reason I would have bought Horde that at the point they did would just be to say, I'm giving up on trying to build a deck. I realize the time for that has sailed because I didn't trash anything. I might as well just go straight for big money and buy provinces and duchies and stuff ASAP before their deck gets online. If their plan all along was to build the Ironmonger Pathfinding thing, which apparently it is, then it doesn't make any sense to add Horde, because Horde is just like a $6 silver for you in that interim period. And that Horde, at that point, should have very much been a scrap or an Ironmonger or something. Now Heze is going to get the last Ironmonger for sure. No, why are you... Don't get rid of your scrap. You still have so much junk in your deck. Why are you turning your Trasher into another stop card? Ironmonger Horde for sure. I don't like getting rid of the scrap. I don't like getting rid of the scrap at all. Actually, maybe you do need to buy back a scrap now because you trashed your old one. And another... What do they think these inns do? In is just kind of like actively attacking yourself. You don't need the action in the slightest. And all it does is reduce your hand size. And they can't even scrap their inn anymore because they killed their scrap. I guess they could expand the inn into province. If I'm Heze, I just want to get rid of the last few coppers with the scrap that I no longer have. Buy a horde and then start buying provinces and stuff. You've got the expand. You've got the Ironmonger pathfinding on them. You're good to go. So Darth probably just buys province here. Man, I really, really, really dislike that choice to turn their scrap into gold. I mean, first off, you need the scrap. You could have trashed a copper there, which would be great. But secondly, why would you take a single gold when you can take a horde, which will get you as many golds as you want? There's no point putting gold in their deck at that point in the game. That squire is likewise doing absolutely nothing. I guess you trash copper into scrap to get your scrap back because you got rid of it prematurely. I don't even know. Yeah, probably copper into scrap, buy a horde. Heze absolutely had this game in the bag, and these last two very questionable turns or so have very much put Darth back in this. Don't think you need more silvers or anything right now. I mean, I guess you could take a silver. It's fine. Scrap copper into scrap by horde. Nope. They bought a gold just to immediately trash it. And they gained a duchess. Okay then. These choices confuse me. Hey. All of a sudden, DarthSensitive is somehow now in the lead. Yeah, Heze, I think, is just thrown this game. It's very sad to see. I don't know why they got rid of the scrap prematurely. I don't know why they added a gold. I don't know why they added so many inns. I don't know why they scrapped their scrap. I don't know why they scrapped the gold that they just got. This is going to be like a repeat of game one, where, like, Heze was doing all the right things and Darth was doing the wrong things. And then at some point in the middle of the game, they just, like, switch bodies or something. And now Darth is doing the right things and Heze is doing who knows what. Yeah, so just take... You don't want to draw here as Darth, I don't think. Your discard pile is full of junk. If you draw, you're triggering a shuffle that top decks a bunch of bad cards. +1 buy, +1 coin is definitely the right choice here. Just buy 2 provinces. Actually, you could buy province expand. That might be better. Buying 2 provinces is totally fine as well, though. The expand gives you a little bit more pile pressure. You could, like, trash a province into a province. Heze never did get that horde to start greening. They do have a bunch of useless inns. They never did trash those coppers. At this point, it's probably too late to add the scrap back and try to fix your deck. Yeah, I think that might be their best shot. I mean, it's gross because their deck has a lot fewer golds in it now than Darth does. So going into the final turns, they're not going to be able to reliably do much. But I think probably the game is drawing to a close. Expand into province and buy province gives you a chance to win if you can, like, double province next turn and your opponent does. Like, if Heze can find their expand this turn, they still have a viable shot at winning. Depending on what Darth does. I think with perfect draw, Darth also could perhaps pull out another double province. Pretty unlikely, but still within the realm of possibility. But yeah, I think trash in into provinces. I mean, not the inn doing anything for you. If nothing else, it gets the inn out of your deck. So I think that was a perfectly good play. Discard that. All right. Coin by province estate, I think. Yeah. So I think as Darth, you don't want to go for wait, why did they take card action? I don't like that. I really, really dislike that. Province is a lot worse than province estate because now your opponent can win if they can do province estate, which is very easy to do. I think that. Yeah, this is looking bad all of a sudden. Does Heze have it now? No, they didn't have enough actions to do that, did they? Yeah, they had enough coins, but they couldn't quite play. If they had one more action, they could have played Squire for plus buy, Duchess for plus coin, and bought Province Estate. Now they took the tie. Yeah, absolutely. Darth should have bought Province Estate. That couldn't have happened. They would have just won. I don't understand why they drew on with their pawn. I don't know what they're expecting to find. Well. So we saw Heze have the win, throw the win, Darth have the win, throw the win, take a tie. Well, that's the end of the match. 4-1-1. Good games. I will now sign off.